Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer with Oculus Rift Reviews, now with Windows Mixed Reality. Today we're going to review and play Layers of Fear VR, a game on the Steam store for every headset. It normally retails for 20 bucks. I actually bought this on release date, and I believe I got a discount because I own Layers of Fear non-VR, so I only paid 12 bucks. I didn't play it for a while. I don't know why. Just sometimes I buy a game and I forget to play it. But I did play this after the latest patch, which is patch 1.7, which added Windows Mixed Reality to it. And I tested this game out on both the Oculus Rift and Windows Mixed Reality. I didn't experience any issues playing this on Oculus Rift. I did experience some issues on Windows Mixed Reality, and I'll get into that at the end of my review if I can. This is one of the best experiences I've had in VR. Great storytelling, great sense of immersion. There's some really trippy VR effects here, 3D effects. I did not play the 2D version, so I don't know how those effects come off in 2D, but all I can say is that in VR, they're just amazing. Now, it is true as far as graphics go, it is a little dark at times, and the visuals aren't as crisp as I'd like. But the experience itself, the game itself, is amazing. This is great storytelling. This is a good horror experience. This is a horror. I would describe this as a horror walking simulator. And it's one of the best ones I've played ever. In fact, this is like I said, one of the best experiences in VR that you can get. And I'm very surprised by the mixed review status on Steam. I don't agree with the negative reviews, although I will say that a lot of those people mention some issues before the latest patch 1.7, so maybe those are fair at the time. But the game, as is now, I highly recommend it. I think this is a must buy experience in VR. And if you don't have this game yet, I'd suggest you do that, because this is absolutely one of the best experiences in VR I've ever had. And I think this game belongs in my top 10 games in VR. I wanted to give this game a higher rating. I wanted to rate it a 9 out of 10. But some of the issues that I've experienced, along with some of the gameplay decisions, some of the interactions aren't the best. Some things could have been done better. The visuals could have been crisper. Makes me bring it down to an 8. But overall, it's a great experience. And like I said, one of the best experiences I've had in VR. The game took me a little over 4 hours to complete. However, I started a second playthrough just because I missed some things. I wanted to go back and experience them. One of the issues is, and you'll see it right here, I actually turned on the visual markers for my second playthrough. On my first playthrough, I had all the visual markers turned off because that's the kind of immersion I like. I like full locomotion. I like smooth turning. I don't like any comfort options, and I don't want any visual markers on my screen. So on my first playthrough, that's what I had. This is my video of my second playthrough, and I put on the visual markers because I didn't want to miss stuff that I had missed on my first playthrough. This is one of the things I missed on my first playthrough. And you'll see that the tongue on the deer actually has a visual marker on it. So this time I knew that it's something that I have to interact with. And you can see that I have trouble interacting with it. It takes several attempts to get it, to grab it, and to do what the game wants me to do. And there's several instances like that. So all in all, I would recommend turning on the visual markers. Yeah, I mean, I missed a lot on my first playthrough just because of that, and I went through some frustration that I didn't have to on my first playthrough because of that. So I definitely recommend turn on the visual markers. Yeah, I mean, I wish we didn't have to, but trust me, you don't want to experience the frustration that I did on my first playthrough. There's some other things about this game, some other issues, and I experienced them on Windows Mixed Reality, so I'll get into that in a bit. Let me talk some more about some of the positives. Like I mentioned, there's some really great visual effects. There's like a sense of vertigo. There's a real tension throughout the gameplay, some suspense, and it's a horror game that doesn't rely on jump scares. Now there are some jump scares, so beware of that. But the horror is not from the jump scares. The horror is just through the suspense, through getting into this really dark mystery, this really dark story. And it's one of those stories that they paint a picture for you, but they don't fill in all the details, and just creepy stuff happens all around you. You do want to take your time with this game. You don't want to speed rush through it. You want to make sure that you look all around, that you notice every little thing, and that you look behind every corner, search every cabinet, because there is a lot of stuff you could miss, and turn on those visual markers. And just a lot of the effects, I have VR legs, so it's no problem for me, but if you don't, this might not be the best game for you, because there are some vertigo inducing type of effects. You know, the whole room will become wobbly, the whole room will just swirl around you, you'll fall. There's so many great effects. There's this one on this video that you'll see where I walk through a room, and later on when I turn back, that room has turned into a painting, and you can see it in 3D, and it just looks amazing in VR. And there's several stuff like that. I don't want to spoil too much, so I won't mention much more than that. But yeah, this is a great story. There's a great pace, and great environmental storytelling. And most of the puzzles are pretty easy. They're not too difficult, especially if you have the visual markers on. I did have a problem with some of the interactions on some of the puzzles. The gramophone is an example of one where I don't think the interactions in VR are done really good. And that's a really finicky puzzle. Actually, on my first playthrough, I got the gramophone puzzle within a relatively short amount of time. On my second playthrough, I knew exactly what to do with the gramophone puzzle, but it took me longer just because of the interactions were so rough. And I don't know, I was using Windows Mixed Reality. That might have been part of the issue too. So as far as issues I experienced on Windows Mixed Reality, the biggest one is that the game just wouldn't start. I don't know why. I think I figured out eventually that it's better to start off the game on Steam VR and then start the game, and more times than not it'll start okay. But when I start the game from the Steam library, it seems to be really hit and miss whether the game actually starts or not. It just kind of loads and it stays black and it never loads properly. I don't know what's going on with that. That's an issue I did not experience on the Oculus Rift. Another issue is after the puzzle of the stairs, and what I mean by that, there's a puzzle where, and by the way, spoiler alert here, where you have to gain momentum and then fall back on a pillar, because you fall back on it and then gain momentum going up, then fall back on a pillar, then gain momentum to get up the stairs. After that point, every stair that I tried to climb up to became difficult because I would slide back, which hadn't happened before that puzzle. And again, this happened on Windows Mixed Reality. It did cause an issue where I had to quit the game and restart for me to get over this stairs that I had to climb. That was really annoying because I lost a good chunk of progress doing that. Other than that, though, I really didn't experience any bugs, and like I said, I experienced zero issues on the Oculus Rift, so I don't know if it was just an issue with Windows Mixed Reality, if there really are problems with the game. I don't know. All in all, this is one of the best games in VR. I highly recommend it. I had never played the normal Layers of Fear non-2D, but I can't imagine playing it in 2D. Really, this is meant for VR, and it's the must experience in my opinion.